So if there's any way I can help with that, let me know. And
Speaking of time,
so art making time with the put that big old
that's
clock
right.
on. Um, to collect that clock, because we talked about how we didn't realize yet the stuff that I think everyone goes through that is probably more interesting than we give it credit for.
Mhm.
Like, I think the fact that everyone just went, this month is over, is probably more interesting than, because we all
Mhm.
experience, so we assume it's dull, but it's not. Like, why? What is it about, January that feels like it goes on for the entire year? And what is for January? And like it's summer, and I want to know like why that happens.
Yeah, I think that's interesting because we were just talking before we started recording, and you said something about like this month went by fast, and I was like, yeah, I mean, it really did because I thought that I literally like until like 2 days ago, I thought we were only like halfway through the month, and then and then I was like, wait, what what just happened? Like, how did we get to the end here? So,
Like how does what makes that happen? And uh after that thing we all went through, the big one, all of our perception of time is so screwed up. And it's interesting. What are the things that, after the big scary thing that happened, or it continues to happen a little bit, I guess. Um it is frustrating that we're not talking about how we're all screwed up from it. Like no one's like, basically we were like, cool, we found sort of a vaccine that works. Everybody get back to work. Just keep going. And uh we're not supposed to be like, no, I'm all twitchy and weird now. we gotta we gotta talk about
yeah,
this. Um and I think one of the things is we all had a really one of the things about time for me is how much art is always about time. Like there I can't there's not a single piece of art that isn't specifically about time. Cuz like you're always moving through it, or like one of the things, if you think about like what Jackson Pollock was doing, is he's making movements, and there's time makes the idea of
mhm,
movement, you know? You can't have it. And yeah, that is something I think this might be one of those things like
mhm,
that we can explore in our art, and that's one of these reasons these conversations exist, is to put a little bit of uh, uh to make a
mhm.
put a rudder on a ship, uh is why we're having these conversations, because uh we make stuff that I like, but we try, it's hard to it's easy to make a single project. It's hard to continue a artistic endeavor, especially with someone else, because you always have to figure out what what you are doing, because you don't want to waste another person's time. You know?
Yeah, exactly. And I think, and that's come up in a couple of our conversations, but I think that's one of the good things. But it definitely one of the good things to having a relationship like this, or having a collaboration like this. But it definitely adds pressure in ways that are mostly good, but there's also like um
Hmm.
I think a lot of times like it'll just be in the back of my mind, like, okay, I've got to do the next thing, and again, I think that's mostly a good thing. um but there's whenever I mean, both you and I have a lot going on, so and as do I think most artists. It's not. I don't think that's unique to us
Mhm.
at all. I think most artists just do a lot of stuff. You know, if they're if they're trying to make art and if they're trying to make a living as artists, I think.
If it's not, because you have to have like the art,
Yeah.
the passion, the one that you use to explore
Mhm.
new ideas in, the one that you do for like funsies,
Yeah.
and you know, it's we can talk about burnout culture constantly. That's one of the things we'll always bring
Mhm.
up. But like it's also one of those things, like it is in that for money, like trying to pay your bills with it, not just for funsies, not just keeping a diary, that you are always trying to monetize. And when you work with someone else, the necessity to monetize you're always on that, is you're always trying to monetize everything all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. Because like trying to pay the bills, and it's weird how well I I think I told you I was listening to the Conan podcast. Yeah, which I don't know if you've had a chance to listen to, but it's a really good one. Um, but one of the things that sometimes comes up, he's got these themes throughout, and one of the themes is like mental health, actually, that comes up quite a bit. But the other theme that seems to come up pretty often is this idea of like when he's interviewing people, you're just I can tell that you're just funny no matter what. It doesn't matter if there's a camera on you or if there's uh, or if you're in the room with one person or if you're with your kid or whatever. I can tell you're just the type of person who's just funny. Just and and at first when I was hearing that, I was like, dang, that's crazy. I mean, I could I could never do that. But then I realized that he's talking about comedy, of course, and I'm not a comedian. you know, and and it's true. Like, I mean, I just can't help making music or wanting to explore art, and it's not even just music really. It's just being creative. That idea of like being creative. You know, I get the same sense from you, and there's other people I can think of off the top of my head. That just you know have these creative ideas and just want to go for it. I mean, before you, the idea that you get we won't talk about the specific idea right now, but I mean like the idea that you gave me uh, just before we were recording. I mean, like that's another one. It's just like, you had an idea, let's let's make something happen with it. And I feel like that kind of creativeness, like there's this inherent blessing and curse that's sort of part of it. Because I remember saying, think and deciding where to go to college, and I was actually talking to my grandparents, and I said something like, yeah, it's just something I have to do. I have to be a musician. And they said, why? Like, why do you have to do that? And I and I did, and they didn't mean it in a mean way. It was just really, I think it was a genuine like question, like why? And the only thing I could really say was like, I have to. That's the only thing I I could possibly do with my life. It's like be a musician. You know?
Yeah, I understand art, and like it's not so much that I want to. It's just that I am not creative enough to imagine myself doing anything else. Like, oh, you're so
Mhm.
creative, but I'm not creative enough to imagine me doing anything but these things. and it's not. Excuse me. It is not. Oh, I need it. I need it like a fish needs water. Like I don't even realize it. It is something in my bones needs to keep making, or the I don't even know what would happen with it. You know what I mean? Like, I waited. I goofed around long enough and ended up with mascot work, and I was like, well, yeah, that makes sense for me. I need to do that. Uh, and it's I think if you want to make art for fun, do it. Don't ever not do it. But if you want to do it for like money and like you have to worry about your bills and stuff, it can be the only thing that makes sense. Pick anything. Blessing and a curse, yes, but it's a blessing and a curse because it's who you are at your bones. It's the structure you are made out of. It's to do this, and like if I were to work at a job, it would be like that isn't art related. It would probably be moving stuff left and right at a warehouse, and then I would go home and make art, and that would be what I can't. I don't
Right.
to do. I don't know. Amazon keeps wanting to hire people. They keep putting out commercials. So I guess that's what adults do. I have no idea what I'm.
Yeah, it's um
If you
I don't know.
do.
I mean, it's not that I don't have other interests. Um and and I've definitely thought about that, but um because it's also not that I'm, 100% happy all the time, doing music. I mean, there's aspects of, things that I do that I don't enjoy, and I think that's also something that is often overlooked. We've got that cliche, like, if you do something you love, then you'll never work a day in your life. And I think that's just I think that's one of the worst things that you could possibly tell somebody, coming out of college or deciding on college. I think that um, work is work, I think. And or I don't know, maybe it's just me because there's parts sometimes, even when I'm on vacation, I'm not 100% totally happy all the time. It's like um so pathos that's lurking inside me that just can't be happy all the time. So
I don't think like I don't think you can be built to be
mm,
happy all the time. I don't think one of the things I talk about with my wife is we never try to have the best time. We
mm,
always just try to have a good time. Because if you have the best time, you're just driving yourself. This has to be the best. No, you're just it's just a good one. We're trying to do a good.
right.
That's also true. I think when you try to make art. Now there are people who prove me wrong, and that's great. And they're with their small, but like, oh, I'm trying to make the best thing. What does that even mean? Just try to make a good
Mhm,
thing. And I do think whoever said do what you love and you never work a day in your life, I can't. I don't even know. What job do you also like? What job do you love every
right.
day? Like what? How do you never? Yeah, is it a job where you never interface with another human being? Because sometimes other human beings can be absolute nightmares.
Yeah.
I think it's I honestly think "do what you love and you never work a day in your life" is one of the dumbest sentences
Yeah.
ever. Like honestly, I honestly believe that because even if you're a musician, you're still gonna have to have a bumpy flight. Like even if you're
Mhm,
like a famous musician and you're living the best life and you're eating the greatest caviar, you're still gonna have turbulence when the plane lands, and that's part of the
Right.
job. Like the idea of permanent happiness is so unattainable, so much so that I'm pretty sure, like, when you are happy, the like concept of time just
Mhm.
goes faster. So like it's even less attainable
Yeah.
because, which is just yeah, like you're never going to be able to get past the fact that time speeds up for that. Well, that was good talk.
Landed.
Landed
Yep.
it.
Right. Speaking of time, right at the end of the timer. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I keep an eye on that
Mhm.
clock the whole time I speak, and I'm like, okay, you're trying to control it. You're gonna do good.